Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Please confirm you can hear me.
Good afternoon. We can hear you.
Okay. Let me quickly share my slide. Let's jump right into it. Meanwhile, we'll be sparing like 2-3 minutes or less than 3 minutes for those that are yet to join. Thank you.
All right. Why Josephine is getting up her slide. Thank you all for showing up early. We really appreciate you. Quick one. How many of you have taken time to read up on all the reference link that we put in week 1 and week 2? If you've had time to read, let me see, Thompson. If you've not had time to read, give me sad emoji because you have made me sad. But if you've done partial, what emoji will you give me? John, that's not even sad. That's, you are shocked at yourself, right? you know um okay, that's good for those who have raised their hands. If thumbs up, high five. All right. And John, I want to believe it's partial, not that you have not read at all, because this is 2 weeks gone and you are showing up in class. So I want to believe that probably life is, it's not easy. Thank you, Situk. Yeah, Situk is saying, yeah, I started but I didn't finish. Okay. So just let me know when you want to take over. I'm believing you want to start at exactly 110, right? So I would let me know when you're ready to take over. All right, yeah. Okay, so if you've read, who has who has identified something that they didn't know before as they were reading, and then this, in the course of reading this, they spotted something that they didn't know before. Who has seen something that they were not aware existed before, and they found it while they were reading? Or should we presume that all of you, what you saw were things that you're already familiar with? And that's okay, because that was just week 1 and 2 were still elementary, right? Um, Jimo, are your hands up, or was it your confirmation of reading? Because your hands are showing like they're up. So do you want to ask a
Yeah,
question?
I wanted to give a thumbs up. I mistakenly pressed the hand
Raise your
raise.
hand. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You can put it down so that it will not be like we are punishing you. You understand?
Okay.
So you can put down your hands. Okay. All right. Uh, I am curious to know who has found something that they probably didn't know before. Because I'm surprised, with my over 10 years experience, I find something new every time I read. I don't think Microsoft documentation is so intense. So there's never a time I'm reading it that I don't see something um that is new to me. So I'm surprised that you guys are not finding anything new. So we'll pass it over now to Josephine, who is our second facilitator for this year Textilers. Wonderful, volunteers who are giving us their time. Like I always say to them, I say, don't, every opportunity is an opportunity. Just come, let's all learn together. So she's going to be taking us on week 3, which is around govern. I'll pass it back to you just right now.
Yes, so good afternoon, everyone. I'm so delighted to be in your midst this afternoon. Yes, so I just want to jump right into it because we've had a lot of introduction, we've been ushered properly into this course. So, and in this week, we'll be talking about governing agents, okay, AI agents. So, so when we talk about governing agents, we we are looking at ways or possible ways in which we can actually monitor the things that agents can do, the access we grant to them, and ensure that we review them all the time. So that's what we mean by governing our AI agents. So I will do that with the security feature that the Entra ID has, which is called conditional access. So, and this conditional access is a way we condition. It's just like saying, okay, the way you restrict a guest from some private section in your environment or in your house. So that would be totally different with how with the kind of access you grant, say, a family member, right? So that is what conditional access, and in granting them those assets, or granting those agents those assets, we do that based on their identity, so literally, Microsoft Entra ID grants access to, or it sees agents as human. So it grants access to agents just the way it will authenticate. It grants permissions to agents just the way it will grant permissions to, say, your regular users on the tenants. So if you understand what I just said, I just want a form of reaction. Um, it seems I'm not seeing that reaction. Okay. Oh, okay. Great, 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 great. So, uh, so what we'll cover today is the identity gap. Why agent needs, same governance as human. Okay. So why agents? Remember that agents are some of this software. They are software powered by artificial intelligence, right? So, and because they make some decisions or carry out operations just like a human would do, intelligently. So you also need to govern them, govern what they have access to, the permission they have access to, and the things they can, do at certain time. So it's all, you are, at the end of the day, you are the mastermind. You are in control. You're in charge, okay, of this access. Remember, we are trying to see how we secure agents, because this whole issue stems from the fact that organization, we have employees just, using agents. People are rolling out solutions, intelligent solutions that they could actually use personally or use enterprise wise. And if you don't control the limits of the access or resources they have at their perusal, it could be abused. So you won't be surprised when your failure to restrict access or restrict agent access becomes an issue of an insider threat. Okay, so whether knowingly or unknowingly. So that's the identity gap. We're looking at the conditional access for agents. Then we also look at the 4 conditional access scoping options. What are the options we are left with when it comes to granting permissions or governing these agents? Okay, so if time permits us, we'll look at maybe pick one of those 2 critical scenarios that I've stated. So it's either you are allowing an agent, or you are disallowing it. That's your risk blocking it. So and number 5 in my list, we'll look at some of those security attributes that we can use to or like make reference to an agent with. Okay, then of course, how we can access reviews, that is the identity governance itself. Okay, so, and if time permits us, we'll quickly do a very simple lab, and that will be it for today. So hopefully I'm able to manage my time, say within the 45 minutes to an hour. All right, so give me thumbs up if you know you're ready for this class. Because myself, I'm excited about it, and I hope you all are. Great, great. I see that thumbs up. Just one thumbs up I'm seeing. Oh. Yeah. It seems a lot of people are excited like I am. All right. So let's look at this research here. The research says that 97% of organizations experience what an identity or network access incident in the past year. Yes. And 70% of it is tied to AI activity. There is no doubt to that, because believe it or not, day in, out, there are software. In fact, most software, I would say over 50% of the software rolled out that are innovative, integrates AI. Okay, integrate AI into their solutions. All right. So unlike the classic service accounts, we are going to be seeing the reason why we need to govern these agents. Okay, we need to, and our previous mentors, they've done wonderful. I've actually been in the classes, and they've given us the possibility of what we, or the need for us as security professionals, to ensure that we secure our agent. Because just like I said earlier, intelligent softwares are being rolled out. So these days, you see, people no longer even do a lot of things manually. So even you, as you could be in your mid-level, in your mid-level, I mean, in your career life, you could be in the mid-level, maybe entry level, even senior level. Regardless, most people don't even want to apply for jobs manually. Even me, I hate to do that. So people build automations, workflows, or even softwares that help you scrap sites based on even sponsorship, a lot of things in the health industry. We have no limit to what AI can do for us. And but governing these softwares that are being rolled out is our major challenge. So we are going to be distinguishing between the classic service accounts. When I mean the classic service, I see it more like an agent that's it's that is not governed, that we don't you just have, let's assume, a Microsoft account as an employee, and you just have like what we used to have before. Now that agent security feature is being integrated, so you just have your credentials, and you can pull up agents, read companies resources, have access to a lot of information that could even mar the company's reputation. What if the employee leaves the organization? What happens afterwards? What happens? What if the person is just an will I say, I don't want to use agent again, maybe a spy from a competitor in that organization? And the most risk that is, or threat, associated with such this kind of scenario is the insider threat. Okay, so for a classic service account, we have shared credentials, we have no life cycle management. So you have the agent onboarded in your environment, and there is no lifetime. There is no control to the retirement of this agent, or how long they will use it. Then there is no even we're not even talking about the conditional access policy support, because it's not even in the picture. Then no sponsorship. We don't even know who owns these agents. You, as a security professional, you might not even have an idea that such an agent exists. Okay, who has access to it? What is it for? Okay, and that is what the previous week was talking about, how we can have a managed or a repository where we have access to all the agents operating in our environment. And of course, invisible audit logs. We don't even know what these agents have access to. Okay, the kind of resource or the kind of information it's being fed with to perform or to carry out the operations it's created for. Okay, so but here we are on the modern agent identity. We have unique identity per agent. So that is why In this case now, Entra ID with its security features handles agent as an entity, as a user, as a human. So it assigns it is what its object ID. So it gives it its own ID. It registers the agent. So in the registry, it has full conditional access support. So you can say, okay, if this, then what happens? If you're under this department, or if you are this and this is what you need, then this is what you're granted. So giving that least privilege to what you need to operate, provided that these agents are approved by the organization. Okay. Then sponsor, assign, and life cycle tracked. Maybe it's for it could be assigned maybe to an individual, and it could even be signed or approved by a higher maybe a higher colleague or subordinate. Okay. Then the life cycle. Okay, this agent, we need this agent for this project, and the agent is supposed to, operate to this very time. So there should be expiration time for that agent, and you track their activities. Then visibility for the logs, of course, the audit logs, the trail of who is it assigned to, what was the person, what was this agent doing, what was this agent doing. And if agent is beginning to request more permission than it should, or begin to request for tokens more often, or more often than necessary, then what are you expected to do as a security professional? Okay. Yes, so conditional access for agent identities. Just like I told you, that the simple way we can the simple way we can actually control what our agents have access to is through the conditional access. So it's a security feature that we use to condition or manage or govern what an agent does. Okay, so conditional access treats agents exactly as human users. Every time an agent requests a token, so tokens are more like the temporal access. They are the temporal access that or it's more like an authentication token, or in authentication that's, but this authentication is temporal. Okay, that is assigned to an agent by the policy engine. So, and I said the condition access uses the logic of if condition, then it's either you allow it, you block it, or you require some form of control. Maybe you need some level of approval. Okay, so since this is the workflow, a simple workflow of how an agent operates with the conditional access security feature. So an agent will request access token. Let's take, for instance, a software which acts as an agent. Okay, now request a token because it's let's assume the data analyst within your organization. Now they have an agent they use to fetch certain data for their own evaluation. So if that agent requests for an access token, so to feed on a section of the organization's data, the policy engine evaluates it, because remember, these agents already they already approved to be on your environment. Okay, I won't go into that because that was what we treated I think the previous week. So the Policy engine evaluates this what it evaluates this, it evaluates the agents and what check for the conditions, so it could give the data analyst department all the resources, all the data they seek for. But if they begin to maybe ask for, say, the payroll of every individual in the organization, you see that it might just block that agent. It will block or restrict that agent from that particular resource. So now you can see here in my left hand side, we have agent identity. Who is this agent? So it's not saying what is this agent. Who is this agent? So that is to say, it treats every agent as a user, as a human user. So who are you? Then it will identify you because it has already assigned you an object ID from the registry. Okay, then it checks the risk level from the ID protection, the risk level of the activities you are carrying out. Okay, now the resource being assessed, or the resource you are requesting or you are assessing. So what time, let's assume we are now applying the conditional access to say, okay, what time or from where, or where is the location you are trying to access this resource from. So let's say like someone like Joy. Joy could maybe come to Nigeria for vacation, and she's trying to access her company's data from Nigeria. She could be restricted. And what time is she accessing it? So even if it's she's allowed to access her organization's resource from let's assume, even if she's allowed to access it from Nigeria, then and violate the time she's accessing it, maybe let's say on a weekend, then it becomes an issue. So look at the possible outcomes that could happen. So it's either your access is granted based on what the policies the policies you've configured. Okay, so from the conditional access, but we'll get to that. Then it's either you are granted the access, you are blocked entirely, or you require additional control. Say it's requiring you use multi-factor authentication, then that's fine. Then limit session scope, so the time band at which you can have access to that resource. Please, I also need a reaction to know that we are together. See, so far, is this well understood? Great, 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 great. Awesome. Yeah, so let's look at 4 ways to scope a conditional access. So there are different ways or approach you can use to condition this access to an agent. One of it is through I would say like a baseline security approach. This is applicable to all agents. Okay, this is applicable to all agents. When you are saying, oh, okay, based on my business operation, I don't expect any agent to access the organization's resources or resource at this time. If it's off business hours, then that agent should be restricted. So I don't expect any agent to have access. So that is all agent identities. So this is like a baseline. If I'm following, say, a governance or a standard, say a GDPR standard that says, okay, maybe the one peculiar to my own organization, that say I don't want any of the agents to have to reach the company's resources from a particular location. then that is restricted. Okay, that baseline rule will be like a broker scope, so it's across all agents. Okay, so the second approach is the specific object IDs, and I told you that agents are assigned object IDs, right? So possibly we'll also show you that from the console. So this is more like a fine-grained control coming down to the agents, kind of, it's a way to target a particular agent. So if I'm saying that, okay, only allow only payroll bots to access payroll APIs, or to access, of course, an API of my organization's payroll API is a resource, right? I believe you know that. Yes. So let's say a database. Okay. So if I'm saying that allow only HR payroll to access my payroll API, then I will attach it based on the agent object ID. Then the custom security attribute, this one has to do with you creating tags. Okay, you tag an agent based on based on that tag. Now you either block it or you approve it. Then the final one is the blueprint level targeting. This has to do more like, it's more like an inheritance. So agents blueprints, maybe the parents, or the parents kind of pass on to their attributes, or the configuration, or the policies that have been applied to them, to all their blueprints. So any agents that are provisioned from that particular agent will be assigned, similar policy. So these are the four conditional access policy approach we can apply on our agents. So please, I need a thumbs up. Don't just give me thumbs up. You can even give me a thumbs down if you don't get. Okay, great. So there is this trick about cybersecurity, and cybersecurity is more like it's more of the concept. So if you understand this concept, when you are presented any console, you know how to apply these concepts. Okay, and that is why I'm taking my time to teach these concepts, because it's similar to all platforms, especially for the Microsoft Entra ID. So that's why I want us to understand this. Yeah, so this is a scenario. Okay, I will not just go to this. We'll come back to this possibly. So I just want us to look at this workflow here. It's a ID protection. So let's see okay, I told us from our table of contents, I said we are looking at two scenarios. This is scenario one, when it's allow listing, only approved agent get access. So this is an instance. Okay, let's say you need to ensure only HR approved AI agents to access HR resources. Okay, so in doing that, and you are saying all other agents, even if they are legitimate, even if these agents are approved in our organizations, in our agent registry, even if they are approved, you block them by default, just the way our traditional firewall does, right? So it's denying all. So I'm saying now that only the HR AI agent should have access to HR resources, because I know HR resources are really sensitive. Okay, so I'm also saying every other agent, even if they are legitimate, even if they are CRMs, okay, or what have you, in the platform, they should be blocked by default. Okay, so except maybe if they then need um maybe upon approval by the leadership, okay, if they then need will I say a access, they would then apply some sort of custom security attributes or specific object IDs, okay, as we earlier mentioned. So here we'll then let's just simulate what we'll be doing. So we are creating the attribute here. Now we are adding this tag. As you can see from the second. I don't know if you can see my cursor. Can you see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So you then add the agent approved status, for instance, as an attribute, or as the attribute. Now the tag approved HR agent on each agent identity. So if this is approved, fine. Then if it's not approved, it means you're blocking it. Okay, then you create what the conditional access policy to say, okay, if this is not equals to approve, if this tag or if this attribute is not equals to approved, okay, then make sure you block the access, as you can see. So if the agent approval status is approved, then you grant it access. Okay, but if it's not approved, remember I told you that every other agent will not be approved. So if it's not approved, by default you should just block that access to that particular resource. Okay, then you enable report only mode first. So the essence of this report only mode is to see that we evaluate the policy we are creating, or the conditional access we are applying on an agent before pushing it. It's just like, I don't know if you're familiar with infrastructure as a code. It's just like when you push your code to, or merge your code to on the staging branch of a GitHub, or any of your code repository. Then before moving it to the production, so you can decide to carry out your testing, or maybe the staging, or the UAT, the user approved branch, then before you then push it to the production. Of course, when you're pushing to the production, it means that your code is live, right? So this is also a way to it's a way to reduce the risks of applying stringent policies that could affect agents. So if you are applying a policy, you have to do what? You have to enable the report only mode first. Okay, so that is the first scenario. So, and for this case is risk blocking. That's the second scenario is risk blocking, stopping high risk agents automatically. So let's assume when the ID protection detect any kind of anomaly, any kind of anomaly from a particular agent. So let's say if the agent begin to try different kind of token, okay, access token, or begin to request other resources, okay, then from the policy, then you want to just automatically block that agent. Yeah, so these are the possible things that might make you to block an agent. Remember, I'm saying risk blocking when there is unusual token acquisition volume, okay, then off hours activities, when there are excessive permission requests, you are requesting more than the scope that agent was meant for, or you are access to unsanctioned endpoints. Then okay, this is typically how you should use the report only mode. Okay, and I say the report only mode lets you to what, to simulate the impact of a conditional access policy. Okay, it helps you to simulate it, see what is being logged, what is happening. Okay, what happens when you don't block a particular, then with time you can decide to review and fine tune that policy. Okay, and remember, governance governance without enforcement is what is just a documentation. And that is why you go to companies, people just create policies. Let's say the use of AI policy. You can actually have policies around secure AI. Agents. Policies around agent usage in your organization. This is a tip. Okay, you can have those. Those policy with what you've learned. You can create a policy for that, for an agent, for agent usage within your environment. Okay, so by the time you document these policies, and people are able to access these documents well read, but you're not able to enforce them. It becomes just another documentation, or another document in the pool of policy. Please give me a reaction if you understand, you just got what I said. Thank you. Thank you. So you have the whole essence of this particular governance is to ensure that you know how to enforce this policy. So here you create a policy in report only mode. Remember, always create your policies in report only mode, so you'll be able to what, to simulate and evaluate their impacts. Okay, then you run it for at least 24 to 48 hours. This is highly recommended. Then you review the sign in logs. Okay, you review it, then you switch to enforce mode. All right. So, and for every step all the way, I just show us, this is it. So from your Entra admin center, then you can go to your monitoring sign in logs. You see the sign in logs of the application type, the agent identity. Remember, so you ensure that you see, okay, you trace this agent with their agent identity. Okay, you look at what, look at the kind of the kind of resources that agent is trying to, to have access to. So, and at the end of the day, it actually gives you idea of some of the false positives before you enforce them. So if you are trying to test that agent, okay, trying to maybe work with it and see what is restrictive from, then you also try to even test those policies you've enforced to see, okay, how is it working. So by the time you do that, and let's say that you just maybe automate that agent to say, okay, carry out this operation, and the agents begin to, maybe fail logins and have repetitive, logins, and at the end of the day get restricted. In such scenario, what do you do? If is a false positive, then at that point you are left to do what, to fine tune this policy. So custom security attributes. Okay, so these are just the steps you can actually take to create what, an attribute. So this is more like you have access to this document, so when you are practicing, you would look at it and, work with it. It's already to 2 already. So now see how you govern agent based on the identity. So you can assess carry out access reviews. That means, how do you carry this access review? Periodically what review what this reviews that ask sponsors, okay, what is this agent doing, and at what, what's the scheduled time for this agent to operate. Sponsors in the reviews, so who are the sponsors, who are the owners of this particular agent, and how you auto revoke on non-response. How do you auto revoke an agent in terms of, when you don't have any response from them? So you could actually review them quarterly, you can review them monthly, you can also review their sponsors. Okay, you can review their sponsor. These sponsors could actually be an individual, it could be a department. Okay, and you can actually also review when they are supposed to be revoked. All right, then time bound access packages. So you set, so if an agent is giving permission for a time frame, so you have to review the set, the start time and the end date this agent is even allowed to access maybe a particular critical resource. You review the dates and see that it is well set and is actually it's being revoked when it's supposed to. Okay, then you also when it requires approval, you also look at the audit logs. All right, then entitlement management approval workflow. So just like I told you that some agents might actually request for access, or they can also even request for new resource. Okay, so sometimes you need human in the loop. This is where human in the loop comes in, where you need multi-stage approval, some level of approval. Who approved this? Was this legitimate, or who approved the use of this particular agent? Okay, you also need to review the justification. Okay, review it to see, okay, if this is totally approved within the. All right, I think this brings me to the end of this slide. This brings me to the end of this slide. And believe me, if you are going through the reference link or content, you would go far and understand better, because what I've taught here within few minutes, or let's say approximately an hour, is not enough for you to have a full understanding of how you govern AI agents, until you are able to sit back, review it, understand, and practice. Okay, so let me just stop sharing. I don't know how many minutes longer I have. Let me see if I could, maybe in the next 8 minutes, take us through. Just a second. Hold on, please.
I was thinking, Josephine, if looking at the time, is it okay if I take them through, considering that we have looked at foundation, which has explained what Microsoft Agent ID is, we've looked at the pillars of how it's expected for you to run an agent ID security, and then now we've gone into governance. Is it okay to use the remaining time to just show people what it looks like
Okay.
now that access has been given, and then looking at we don't have enough time, and then we
All
can
right.
add conditional access policy lab to next week if that works for you.
Okay, that's fine. That's great.
Okay. All right. Okay. So what do we have to say to Josephine? It's at least I don't like. I'm still shocked that people said that they didn't get anything new when they were read, or rather, nobody responded to what they got new. Because while Josephine was teaching, I was going to the tenants to play around the identity governance that she was talking about. So, and I saw that truly you can use identity governance to also manage agents, do your access packages, your review. So that's something I learned new today. As much as I know what identity governance is, but I use identity governance more for other things. And that Microsoft has also added it now even into agents. So I've learned something new. So thank you very much, Josephine, for giving us that overview on how we can govern these agents that are being sprung up in our environments, whether we want to govern them centrally, or want to have pre-populated rules and conditions that guide where these agents go to, because it's very important. And what Microsoft is saying is that when agents come, agents don't see agents as a software, see agents as identities, and it is identities that give access to vulnerabilities. So no attacker is successful without access. That's the truth. If they exploit the vulnerability, what they do is they now create an identity that they use to go around. So what Microsoft is saying is that your agents that you are spinning up today to automate your processes, automate your jobs, if you see them like an application, then you would not pay attention to how to secure them. But when you see them as an identity that is being created, the same cautiousness that you put in securing individual users' identities, the same way you would begin to protect them. And that's what this whole 6 weeks program is about. So thank you very much, Josephine, for taking us through that
Thank you very
whole
much.
governance. Do we have any questions for her? While we're thinking through our questions, right? The next thing I want to take us through is we have looked at foundation, we've looked at this and governance. So now I want to show us what it looks like on the Microsoft tenant, because I think your access has been created. I don't know if you have been advised on your email with your access. So now, because I looked at the tenant and I saw people's name, and I can show it so that if your name is not there, you can reach out to. But I think everybody's access has been created, and I think they've also shared that with you, so that now you can log into Microsoft Entra and see what we have been talking about. It's not what we have been saying. You will see it yourself, you play around with it, and we've given you privileges. Please don't try and create jabajantis and scatter anything, please. So I would recommend that you create your own agent and then play around with it. Just a test agent or test blueprint. Don't use any of the discovered agents that you see for now till we get to project and all that, just so that, because some of those agents might be people's agents and we don't want to disrupt them. So do we have any questions for Justin while I'll be sharing my screen? Questions, comments.
Please, if you don't ask me question, it means that you've not even understood everything I said. You want me to go back to share my slide?
I think for the question I had, you answered it when you started covering, because my question was, how do we know what policy or what conditions to create, right? And you made mention it's based on what you want the agent to do, right? So that answered my question. And I guess from what Ms. Joy is about to show us, oh, sorry. She's going to show us, how to, create, like, see it done, right? I'm more like, I need to see it to apply what you just learned to create the full picture. So, yeah,
Okay.
thanks.
Okay. So, and sometimes you also grant agent permissions based on your company's policy. Your company policies, the criticality of the resource you are assigning it to. So there are so many things. So sometimes the policy is not something you do off hand or in the fly. It's sometimes they need to be approved. So you might want to discuss with your team to say, okay, this is the agent we are rolling out, and this is the purpose, this is the function of that agent, and we are restricting it to this, and you can also indicate this is the it can come, it depends on the phase or the area. It's, you can grant the access from top down, or um how do I describe it? Is it top down or bottom up? Okay, so your team can decide to say, okay, we need, because we want to execute this, these are the resources we want to have access to. Now the top management can decide to say, oh no, we can release this resource to you. Okay, why not do it this way? We can have another segment of this resource that you can have access to. So this is to ensure that you have what we call least privilege, the ideal or the necessary resource you need to carry out your tax. Okay, so it's policies are not something you just do on the fly, or you just assume, okay, they are correct. So you have to consult with, this is what you need, you can bring it up, and there's a form of review, and access is granted for that agent.
Okay, thank you. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, can you see my screen? I don't know, my system seems to be hanging. Um, trying to close. I have so many browsers open.
It's showing now.
So while Miss Joy is getting back up, sorry, I just had another question real quick. So, okay, what if there were already agents live, right? How how do you are you able to go back and reconfigure their policies on those agents already out there? Let's say you're just joining the company and they already have agents, and now you have to like perform an audit, or to see, okay, what have they been doing, and now you see, okay, we need to to change some of um their access, restrict some of their access. Are you able to do that, or do you have to remove those agents and let those people recreate the agents to reconfigure their settings?
So for modifying your policies, it's okay, you do that, but you have to ensure that it doesn't disrupt business operations. Okay,
Mm.
that is why it's important that you communicate, and carry those updates out when it's not the peak of an organizational process or operation. Okay. So because what most organizations fear the most is downtime. So you communicate, and an update or modification can come from an incident. It could be probably from an audit standpoint, just like you mentioned. So it's important to highlight that and communicate properly, and ensure that it doesn't disrupt business operation. Okay. Hope that answers your question. But if it's for
Yes.
modification, sure, you can.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, it
please
does.
go ahead, Baba Femi.
Yeah, thank you, Josephine, for the insightful class. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. My question is, you said something about, actually, I believe some of us are just getting familiar with the whole um, agent security stuff and all. So most of the terms and the jargons we use in this space is kind of new to us. So I believe when by the time we start getting our hands dirty, we'll get more familiar with it and all. So my question, you said something the other time about conditional access policies. and all. So I want to ask, because I'm always curious about the security of a thing. So in a situation whereby there is access for maybe someone who is trying to gain access to his or her company's mail from another region, but you said something about probably the programming will check the time you set in order to raise an alert or to lock it out automatically. So I want to ask if the time zone the the agent Entra ID will be using is the one on the system, or there is a configured one in Microsoft Entra ID. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, because there are some situations whereby, for example, my phone now, I can easily change the time zone I'm using on my phone. Even though I'm in Nigeria, I can be using Netherlands time zone and all. So if that is what the conditional access policy will be working with, then there may be a breach. I mean, that may cloud the judgment of the policy. So that's why I'm asking if it will be making use of the system, or there's a configured time zone that actually captures the real time zone and the location of where the person is trying to access from.
Baba Femi, you asked a great question. So, it's kind of your question is a bit tricky, because you kind of brought in different features or attributes to configure those policies. Okay, Joy wants to say something. All right, Joy, please go on. Joy, please, you can go on. Your hands are. Or do we have two Joy here? Joy, your hand is up.
I guess she's off the call.
Oh, okay. Probably she wanted to say something about this. It could be on what she wanted to share with us, or she wanted to contribute. Okay. So sorry. Okay, I'm trying to see if I will get any feedback from her. Yes, so now when you talk about location, it will definitely use the geolocation of the, not your system this time around. It's your Entra ID, your environment. Okay, Joy is trying to share.
Can you see my screen now, please? Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my network, but can you see my screen, please?
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay, let me pick up Babatunde's question. I'll answer it, then I'll go back to the previous. So for you, Babatunde, remember Microsoft Android is a cloud infrastructure, and that cloud infrastructure is hosted on a data center somewhere. That data center is using what we call the internet clock. So when you use internet clock, what it means is that irrespective of what time zone anybody is, it would replicate actions, or it will collect logs based on the time zone of that person. Now, when you're setting conditional access policy, you're not setting conditional access policy that is tied to a time condition. No, you're setting conditional access policy that is timed to an action that an identity is supposed to take, and you're expecting your audit logs to capture that action against the time of that person. So if I'm in America taking an action, the conditional access policy will activate whatever that policy has said and just put in the logs my time that I'm in America. And while if I'm in Nigeria, I'll put my time that I'm in Nigeria based on location. So if back to the example we like to use, that, if I come to Nigeria and I want to access my company data and there's a conditional access policy that says block, what the conditional access policy will be doing is using that my IP is showing I'm in Nigeria, and the conditional access policy will probably have said that don't access XYZ resource outside Europe. So the moment it sees that the IP trying to connect to it is outside Europe, it will trigger a block, and it will put the timestamp of Nigeria, because that's the time I was trying to connect from Nigeria to that access, and that conditional access policy matched it. Again, we can show you all of that when we get to audit logs, but that's how it works, right? It doesn't matter what time zone you are. Cloud services use internet clock, and internet clock is global, meaning that internet clock knows that, oh, this person is connecting from this time zone, so it will replicate the logs based on your time zone. I hope that did answer your question. And to the previous question around, oh, I spin up a Microsoft Agent 365 in my environment, and I can see that they are pre-existing agents. What happens to policy? So that's the selling point of Microsoft Agent 365. What Microsoft is saying to organizations is that you don't have any visibility today to how many agents are running your environment. You have people spinning up different agents. When you use Microsoft Agent 365, it's going to tell you everywhere there's an agent, and you can now do that audit, and you can now know the agents that need certain types of policy. But like Josephine said, when you now have identified the gaps and you want to now make a recommendation, you will now go through whatever your change management process is. So for example, if I see an agent that was created to probably go into HR solution and pull out payroll data and do some permutation and then pay transactions, right? But I have seen that account has over privilege, right? Maybe the account can also delete. Meanwhile, all they want is for you to pull and do some read write, but I can see that it has the ability to delete, and I feel like that's an over privilege. That assessment will call it out, and then we would now flag it that, oh, this account has an over privilege, or we can see the ability to be able to be connected to from external location, right? So yes, it's an agent, all the access is okay, but this agent can be reached outside the organization, and I want to put a conditional access policy that this type of agent should not connect outside the organization. So I want to use maybe a conditional access policy that we call named location, meaning restricted to my organization IP. I will not just apply that because I don't want to impact. I will raise that finding, discuss with the key stakeholders, and we'll do a test, and we'll go through the normal change management process, and then we effect it. So what we've done from a security perspective is we've identified the risk, we've identified the gap, we will communicate it, but we'll still adhere to what the change management process of that organization is before we implement it, and then say that that risk that has been identified has been closed. I hope again that answered your question. Can you all hear me? I'm so afraid to click on my laptop because it's just acting up. So I don't know.
Yes.
Was I talking to myself? Hello? Okay. I don't know.
We can hear
Yes,
you.
we can hear you. You just answered our question. Thanks so much.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So in Microsoft, there are two portals that are very familiar when you're doing work that requires administrative work. One is called the portal.azure.com. Now, this is for people who are new, who have not used Microsoft before. If you're familiar with using Microsoft technology, you know about what we call the portal.azure. Now, Microsoft has called it Entra, right? But the old name is Azure. So you have to go to portal.azure.com and then use that credential that you've been advised. And when you use that credential you've been advised, I think it will prompt you to change your password, and then change your password, do your MFA, and you'll be able to log in, and you will see a dashboard like this. And then all you need to do is come here and type Microsoft Entra ID, and it will show up here, and you can click it, and then here it will just keep like a history of places you have gone to, so you don't necessarily have to come and search for it again. But if you're coming for the first time, you have to search for it here, and then you come Microsoft Entra ID, right? So this is one way to manage identities in Microsoft platform. Another way to manage identities in Microsoft platform is what we call the admin.cloud.microsoft, right? The admin.cloud.microsoft will take you to what we call the Microsoft 365 Admin Center. And again, based on the role. Now, what you see is based on the role that you've been given in your organization. But for this, training, we've given you guys quite an extensive privilege role, just because we wanted you to be able to see multiple things in a proper organization. There are some things some of you will be seeing that your colleagues might not see because it's based on your role. But we've given like a flat role, just so that we can, have everybody have the same experience and understand what we're trying to teach. So when you come to the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, prior to when we had Agent ID, you won't see this thing called agents here. right? Because agents just started coming out. So now that people are using Copilot to create agents, Microsoft introduced this agent dashboard that is enabled by the Agent 365 functionality. And once you come here, this is the dashboard. You get this overview that allows you to see, the overview of agents in your environment. Now, the Agent 365 overview by default, without any license, will allow you see an agent registry. What is registry? Like, a list of stuff. Chimezuri taught us in our last class, right? So this tells you all the agents that you can find in your organization, agents that are by default Microsoft, agents that are created by people, agents that are by applications, any type of agent you can find in your organization, it will throw it here. So you can imagine this is the demo site where we can see about 255. Then it will tell you active users, right, that have used or interacted with this agent. You can see here is blocked out because we don't have the license for this. This would have given us agent runtime. And then this is also a registry sync, meaning that agents, the places that our agents are connected to, would also see it. So luckily these agents are not connected to any third party. We'll see. So for example, for those of you who are familiar with using Claude, for example, you know that sometimes Claude will tell you to connect to some connectors, right? For you to be able to do certain things. Claude on its own is good, but for Claude to be as powerful as it is, you need it to connect to connectors. Recently, I've been using Claude to develop certain project initiative apps. And what I do is I have a vibe coding platform that I use, and that vibe coder has its own AI agents, but I'm not impressed. So I did a connector from that application to my Claude, and I've been able to use it to achieve what I want. So in this instance, for example, if the environment was managing Claude, for example, it will see that, oh, I'm connected to another third-party application. So the registry sync will tell us everywhere these agents are connecting to the connected platform, and it would have shown here. Another thing that you will see down here will be pending requests for agents. So probably agents who probably have been configured that you cannot just connect to it except there's an approval. Again, you will see when we take you guys again through the dashboard, you will see that there are some agents you can set up, or not agents. All agents are expected to be set up with such way that it's not just anybody that can have access. You only give it to people that need. And you can also make agents discoverable, meaning that people can just see them on the on your organization and request access, while some of them you don't want to make them discoverable. So the ones that are discoverable, someone can maybe make a request. So for example, you know how when you come to Textilers community on WhatsApp, you can see all the groups we have, but you're not a member of all the groups. So what you typically would do, out of curiosity, some people will click request for access to a group, and they are never given that access, because when we look at it, you don't need to be there. But you too, you clicked on it out of curiosity. So that's the same thing. You see people who have, pending request here. This other one is the one we're trying to get licensed, because we really want you guys to see it, because for next class, when we're talking about protection, right, here to tell us agents that are at risk. So Microsoft on its own does its own type of risk-based assessment, where it can tell you agents that are at risk. So agents that have overprivileged, agents that probably are running access to third-party platforms that can create whatever. So it will tell you here, because we don't have that enhanced license. So what Microsoft has done is they've whet people's appetite. They've given you the free version that at least can tell you how many agents you have and all of that. But when you want to do certain security things, they tell you should go and get license. It's typical sales strategy, right? So that's why we don't have this here. And then agents without owner, for example, all the agents that don't have owners, you can see, or agents who the owner has left, you can see them here and then assign owners. And agents that have exceptions, you can see if we have the license. So this is the overview. Yeah, and then down here, some bit of analytics. For example, agents that have been created by creators. So out of that 200 and something, you can see agents that have been, you can see these ones are created in your organizations. These ones were created by external partners, and this one was created by Microsoft itself. So out of these 255 agents, for example, your boss can say, or whoever can say, you mean in our organization we have 225 agents? How? This is the breakdown, right? So this is the analytics, right? It's broken it down here for you. And it can also tell you top platforms that are being used in your organization to build agents and all of that. So this gives you a high level overview into your organization. Microsoft has made it easy. So if you currently work in an organization today without even any license, just to be able to tell your boss, to get them curious to want to invest in you, to upskill yourself as, the key subject matter expert on agent security in your organization. Just, ask for AI reader or an agent. There's a role, AI reader, and I'll look for the other one. And once they give you those roles do not allow you change anything. They just allow you see, and you'll be able to go to admin.cloud.microsoft, and you see this dashboard, and based on this you can begin to let your boss know that, okay, without us even doing anything, just shall know that in our environment we have this level of agents, and you might be seeing some that will have no owner and all of that. So this is what we learned in week 1 when we took you through the foundation of what agents are, right? Okay. And then this is for that breakdown of what those agents are. So those 225 agents, when you come here, right, you will now see what those agents are, and you can see that it has blocked its risk. So this risk level, if we had the license, it would tell us because some of these agents are Microsoft partner agents, but it can tell us the ones that already are risk. Maybe there's an agent that the third party platform have not patched up, and so that agent is already seen to have vulnerability. Meanwhile, that agent is accessible on your environment, right? So Microsoft gives you the ability to be able to see that, and then you can now use conditional access policy to even block those kind of agents off people being able to see them in your environment, right? And here too, we also show custom agents that have been built. Now there are ways to, by default, even not even allow these partner agents, be visible on your environment. All of those things will be discussed. So you can see this one. Hold on, I'm trying to push the one of platform that is Copilot so that you can see. I saw it now. Yeah, so you can see this one now. This one is saying, right, somebody, you can see is draft. Somebody is trying to create an agent, right? It's still in draft mode. It's not yet available public, and the person used Copilot to develop it. Can you see that one? Another one, if you go there, you can see here somebody there just developed a doorstep groceries help desk. Is in draft. Somebody's using, so make app, so you can see it here. Somebody has done one 10 tech syndicate fitness assistant Copilot again, because that's part of our project where the guys do. So please, when you're testing, don't tamper with anyone in Copilot, because it's the Copilot student. You can see another person has done this one 10 syndicate ball Copilot in Power Apps, right? Yeah, so these are agents. You can see them. So as people are creating agents in your environment, right, you'll be able to see them just by the dashboard. You can see all types of agents. Some of them are still in draft. Some of them have gone like this ones, they've pushed themselves live. And when you click on the agent itself, you can get more details, right? So you can see the day it was created. This agent was created by this day. You can see publisher type, your users, right? You can see an agent that is designed to assist with HR related queries. You can scroll down, who is there available to know this, no details yet, who is installed for, no agent ID yet. Instructions, you can get more insight about it. So this is now you doing your audit, the agent ID, the bot ID, the environment that this has been created for. It was created on an environment name project group, an environment ID with this. You can come up further here and see users, right? So who is this agent shared with? So you can see that for now, this agent is not shared with anyone, right? This agent is not shared with any group. This agent is not shared with any individual yet. Data and tools. How can this agent can read public sites, right? They are no connector. Security, because we don't have license. That's why I said I'm really trying to see how I can get license so that you'd have enjoyed. This security part will now tell us all the security risk with this agent. So you don't even have to do too much. You just get data and discuss with your boss and know how to remediate. This agent doesn't have permission from Microsoft Entra ID, which is good, and also activities would have shown here, right? So you can see that you can take action immediately. Maybe let's assume the risk is showing that this agent is currently going to access maybe a HR SharePoint site and is trying to, get out people's salary. This thing, you can automatically block it. You can assign a new owner to it if the owner is, you don't have enough information, or you don't think that maybe the owner has left the organization and then there's a new owner for it. This is the amount of information you can get about agents as a security person in your organization without worrying about where people are putting these agents. You can also see the MCP server. So remember when I talked about connectors when I'm using Cloud, that's the same thing. They are the same thing as MCP servers, right? That you connect to. So you can see there are about 17 of them in this your tenant, right, and the publishers, and and the good thing about this is that Microsoft is still reviewing, so lots of things are still in preview. Microsoft is trying to, upgrade, and then these are some configurations. So what you can do in Microsoft 365 Admin Center, some of them differ a bit from what you can do in the Azure portal. So when you come to the Azure portal, it's where you will come down to here that you have agents, right? And when you come down to here that you have agents, you also still see um, um, agents that are in your organization. So this one is specific to agents that are in your tenants. So remember, we saw 220 something agents, right? That is agents that are both in our tenants and agents that people in our tenants connect to, right? And then this one is specific agents that were set up in your tenants, right? And you can see some of them were recently created, some of them are active, and details about them. You can again get more details. You can see the agent blueprint that we're talking about. That was a policy that you can use, and again all this stuff. So when you come to sign in logs, again is where you get logs around. Signing logs will tell you things around agents who signed in with agent ID, and that's where you can play around location base and all that. So please, you've been given access. Use your access to log in, so as you are reading, you can play around it, right? So you can see here, IP address would have shown you here. That's for Babafemi. You can see that Microsoft tells you IP addresses and lots of things that you can use to play around. And then finally, what Josephine taught us today, again, which you take more deeper, but just to show you where to do it. So for conditional access policy, what you need to do is come here, type here, and then type conditional access policy to come out. This is it, and you click on it, and then you go to the dashboard for conditional access policy. Don't forget, conditional access policy is not only for agents, it's for your whole environment. It's just that Microsoft has now allowed you use conditional access policy to also manage agents. So be wary that you're going to see lots of policies in your organization, right? And those policies apply to so many things, right? You want to now focus on the one. So for example, some of the assignments we're giving you is to create conditional access policy that can do XYZ to an agent, and you just want to come here and create new, and then put a name, and then follow the steps of what Josephine will try and take us through the labs next week, looking at time with fast shoot. So this is how you get access to the dashboard. Please check your emails you've been created. If I go to users and go to active users, maybe if you're on the call, you just want to check if your name is here to just prove that you have. So I can see Jimo, I can see you here. So you see your account has been created. I can see Aminat, I can see Babafemi, your account has been created. I can see John, Chine, I can see you. Christiana, I know you're on the call, I can see your account. Folusho, your call. So are you getting it? All your accounts have been created. Somebody saying, are we going to be shown what? Can you please read that question for me? Are we going to be shown what?
Are we going to be shown how to create the agents?
Okay, so in security, our role is not to create agents, right? We don't teach how to create agents here, right? But the reason why I asked that, if you want to try things, try and create your own agent, is just so that you don't go and apply restrictions to people. You can do all this. So if you just want to review something, feel free. You don't have to create any agents. Play around it, review. But if you're very curious in your learning and you want to see how to probably apply a conditional access policy that can restrict, so what I'm saying is best you then create your test agent. And to create an agent is very simple. It's just click on agent and say create, right? We don't have to teach you that. In security doesn't need to create agents. There are not people that will have to create agents, and if they have to create agents, they will be creating agents like every normal user who's just curious in the organization try to create it. It's not because maybe they want to use it to automate something in their environment. So if you come to agents here under Microsoft Entra ID and come to agents, you would be able to create agent yourself. So we don't have how to create agent in our scope because it's not part of our scope of work. I'm just saying create an agent if you are curious. So you can come here, new agent. You can see I just created this one while we were teaching test user. Create an agent and play around with it with your restrictions, but we're not going to be teaching you how to create agents, no.
Okay, also look at the object ID there. To show them.
Yes, go ahead.
So I said they should look at the object ID. You can see as she created the agent, you can see the ID assigned to it.
Yep. Any questions so far so that we can release you guys? So again, the best way to learn is to practice. You can sit in classes and hear, practice. You have been given an account. Please go and log in, navigate as you're reading, click on it. If that's the best way for what you've learned to stick. Go and log in into your tenant and play around with it. Thank you very much once again for being here with us. Any last words from you, Josephine?
Really nothing. I just want us to practice, go through the documents, that's the slides, and the previous ones. Okay. Then get your hands dirty. That's all.
Please don't forget to fill your attendance sheet. It's very important both for project assignment and very important for vouchers where they'll be giving 50% vouchers. Please fill your attendance sheet. Baba Femi, your hands are up, please. Over to you.
Yes, ma'am. Last class you promised to send us some test questions or some things we can work on and
Yes, Baba
deliberate
Femi,
on during
thank
the
you very
week.
much. I promise I will drop it. I'll drop it between now and Monday.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me. I did forget, but thank you. I would give you guys some practical things to just do based on what you've learned so far. Yep. I think there's someone just dropped another question. Let's see. Any question? Say, I've only been watching the recorded. Could you please confirm how I can get my login details, login instructions? Okay, Taye, have first of all, let me check if your account is on the system. If it is there, then it is. If your account is not there, then you need to respond to any of the admins and maybe you have not been filling the attendance sheets because that's the problem. If you've not filled, so Tayo, your name is not on the system. Can you please fill the attendance sheet? You showed up today. I recommend that you fill the attendance sheet, even if you're watching the video. Click the attendance sheet on the chat, fill it in, and then on the WhatsApp group, reach out to precisely Joanne. I think she's our assistant in our group, and just let her know that your account has not been created, and they will sort you out. Okay, everybody, not to keep us with 1 hour, 30 minutes. Thank you all. Have a wonderful week. Please practice. The good thing about Agent 365 is that it's new. So even your bosses that have spent years of experience in IT are all learning this new. So you can be a champ by spending time writing articles, writing posts about it. Now you're doing something that they didn't know too. So be the one that they want to call and ask, please explain this thing for me. Everybody's learning Agent 365 new. It's not been there before. Yes, like Josephine said, is leveraging on the concept of identity management, but then you can be a subject matter expert by the time you master what it means and how to set things. So please don't go to sleep with this. Spend time. Stop looking on Instagram. Leave Instagram cho. Give 1 hour of your time to this and you enjoy it. Trust me, you'll be proud that you did. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.